Revolution with Jeff Lorman, Kazzer.
We got ourselves a pickup, buddy. Long weekend, party time.
These two guys.
Nobody knows better. It's sucking than my partner.
Oh, nice.
And the man who wrote the book on the 4.6 mod motor, Sean Hyland. This portion of Sports Car Revolution is brought to you by APR and Stasis Engineering, racing to make your Audi better.
You know, normally when you tune your car, you put some parts into it, and then there you are. You never have an opportunity to go back to make that comparison. Well, to make sure that we know what's going on, Colin Harmer from Stack is here. He's going to be taking data acquisition all through the process, which may just save us from ourselves.
All right, so you're going to get started. Really what you want to do is have a look for 4 basic parameters to help you understand what's going on with the car. You want to understand how fast it's going, that's wheel speed. You want to understand what the engine's doing, that's engine speed. And you want to understand what's going on with grip, that's both lateral and longitudinal G. Sort of as you add those 4 channels up, you can learn a whole big bunch about what's going on from a performance envelope and what's going on from an acceleration and deceleration point of view. By using wheel speed and engine speed, in fact, if you don't log the driven wheels, you can actually look at wheel spin as a function of that, because your gear ratio shouldn't change when you overlay those two. Then you can look at things like, well, are you shifting fast enough? Engine speed will tell you the difference between when the engine goes up, or engine speed goes up, and actually when the shift engages. So if you're taking too long to shift, you're giving up time. You never finish. You're always looking for it. When you start out, you're looking for tenths, 2 tenths, half a second, maybe a full second, and then you start looking for smaller and smaller incremental changes, and they're always on the table. First thing we wanted to do, get an accurate engine speed. So we actually went to the fuel injector line for that. Very easy, comes off at a 12-volt pulse, pick that up, and we know that we've got so many RPM. Then wheel speed was the next obvious one. So for that, we actually went to the driveline. Now, fortunately, with the Audi, there's lots of driveline components turning around and around. We use a simple Hall effect sensor, which basically looks for a piece of metal, and it just takes a trigger from it. In this case, we used a rear CV joint pickup. And the lateral G was really easy because we have a very sensitive lateral G sensor that we basically Velcro to the center console. In order to get really accurate information, particularly when you're on a circuit race, you need what we call a hard line in the sand. And we achieve that by using an infrared lap timing beacon, which is a beam of light that we shoot across the track, and we actually have a lap time receiver simply taped to the top of the car. It was interesting for me. For the most part, I've not spent much time working on street cars or street tuning. So it was kind of neat to watch the guy simply insert a computer and see an instant dramatic change in 0 to 60 time. Stick in the computer again, add some injectors. Again, a dramatic change in 0 to 60 time. You know, and then as we move forward with the Stasis guys to add brakes, suddenly the deceleration curves were dramatically improved. Add new shocks, lateral G went up. Every single step we made was qualified with hard lines. The opportunities here really are that you can actually set a baseline, and then every time you go out and do something, you can actually see what the changes affected. And you may end up making some changes that change one thing positively, but another thing negatively. You can go back and find out where those changes were and why you wanted them or maybe didn't want them. So it's kind of interesting. You make this constant flowing program of improvements, and they'd be able to go back at any time and say, is this better? Is this worse? Did it improve or not improve the situation? Yeah, Stack has a proprietary piece of information that we call a predictive lap timing system, or a performance meter. And what's really interesting about it is it gives the driver instantaneous feedback at the time on the track as to what they're doing and whether or not it's improving or not improving their lap times. Effectively, it looks like a bar graph, and if the bar graph goes to the right, you're on a fast lap. If it goes to the left, you're on a slow lap. And rather than even having to go back and look at the computer for data, you can understand the changes in your technique, braking points, turn-in points, instantly can generate or take away speed. You know, one of the challenges we faced this year running the tires that we did in Speed World Challenge was that the tires really had about a 3-lap opportunity to spank in a hot lap. And unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. The predictive lap timer system actually enabled the drivers to have a look, understand where they were in their lap, and if the lap was spoiled, slow down, cool off, save the tires, you got another chance to get it done. It really helped you manage traffic and understand what was going on. It's amazing, you know, the advent of PCs and chips and all those electronic costs have really driven the cost of data down to the point where really a set of wheels and tires is about what you're going to spend on a data system. The nice thing about the data system is if you look after it, it's going to last for 10 years. One of the other powerful tools that we've developed is actually a video overlay system where you can actually shoot video in the car and then sync that with the data. So if you have a spectacular event or something that really makes a dramatic change in your performance, you can look at your screen, understand where the change is, and see what's going on in the car at real time. So you actually get a real-time video of what's happening and what that data means and what the changes it affected.
Data acquisition to prove what you're doing is worthwhile, and what these guys from Stasis Engineering and APR are doing after all.